Welcome to Business Over Beer, where entrepreneurs, small business owners, and people passionate about what they do bring us their stories and their favorite beer. Hosted by Ben Surratt, Jonathan Kaler, and Jason Knope, it's time to get down to business and drink some beer.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the second biggest podcast in the Pacific Northwest. We are still on the heels of those pesky Sasquatch hunters, but if you listen to part one, you know this one is going to bring us to the apex. We are here, live. Where? Knoper.
Loowit Brewing, downtown Vancouver. We got Jason, Landon, and Tom of Loowit Brewing. Guys, thanks for being here. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Awesome, guys. Well, in part one, we talked a lot about your beer. We talked a lot about brewing of your beer. We talked a little bit about some of the history of Loowit, but I want to get into more of that in this episode. I want to learn more about each one of you guys individually and how you kind of came into these positions. But before we do that, Ben, you look thirsty.
I still am thirsty, and remarkably, a beer appeared in front of me. This is crazy. You guys come here raw.
Absolutely. Is this the Angie's Mystery Beer segment, Ben?
Ooh. Gentlemen, every episode of Business Over Beer, my lovely wife Angela picks us out a mystery beer. We call this segment Angie's Mystery Beer. But seeing as though she's not here, we had to do the next best thing. So we had somebody that works with you who had an A name. Her name is Andrea. We're going to call this segment Andrea's Mystery Beer.
Yeah.
Yes. So I don't know what this one is all about. So let's, what are you thinking?
I mean, normally...
We pour it. We have a
normally we have a whole thing, but they've already poured it for us. They give us these nice glasses. So
come here. She's here.
There she is.
Here's Andrea.
There she is.
Andrea's Mystery Beer.
Take the mask. Come on.
Thank you so much.
Join us.
So can you say hi and tell us why? Don't tell us what it is. Why did you pick this beer?
Fresh to tap. I feel like it's got enough different flavor profiles. It might give you guys a little bit of a challenge to figure out what it is. So,
Prost.
and it's delicious.
Cheers.
I love it. All right.
Thank you so much.
Cheers to Andrea. Prost, everyone.
Prost. Cheers.
Andrea's Mystery
Beer.
Well,
It's good beer.
just off the nose, it's clearly a lager.
It's a lager.
Of some kind. Not being a lager drinker, I can drink an IPA and I can get a lot of those different subtleties and stuff.
Yep.
A lager, not so much. So
I think that's what you should for.
probably.
This might mix them up a little bit because we have 3 or 4 beers that are lager style. So, which out of those is it?
So for me,
I know.
So for me, lagers are typically like super abrasive, like up front.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm just not a huge lager fan. But this is smooth. I mean, the color is
Very
nice.
smooth.
I mean, look at that. I love the effervescence of it. It's not overly abrasive, so I like that. So that part is nice. Very sessionable, very drinkable. For a lager. This is way up your alley.
That's your alley.
What do you think?
I think it's a good beer. It's an easy drinker. It's very light and crisp.
So they got multiple lagers on the tap list. I mean, so is it Pilsner? Is it the lager? Is it the Helles?
This isn't the Pilsner. This is good.
It's definitely. I don't think so. I think it was the Pilsner.
So what do we have on tap? We have blue lager.
We have Blue Lager,
Not the Kolsch.
Tucson Kolsch, Helles, and Pilsner.
Ellis.
It has to be the Helles. I don't think it would be. I don't think she would have sat there and said what she said if it was your Loowit Lager based on part 1 and the description you said. So I'm going to say it's the Loowit Helles. That's my guess.
Yeah.
There it is.
Dude, we got it right.
I think you guys got it right. You did get it right.
No way!
Guys.
Yes.
First time ever. We
Out
got
of
the
the
brewing
three.
and the style.
So you're saying we made that too easy? Is that what you're saying?
No, I think we're saying we're geniuses.
Cheers.
It's really
Cheers on getting that. Yes, you guys
Prost.
picked out everything we go for in a style. Lager,
Fantastic.
Helles, Kolsch. You picked them all out. You were able to nail that down.
I wish it.
Which means we must do this true to style.
Landon, tell us about this beer.
Right.
All right, so this beer, quintessential Helles lager. You have a slightly more of a grainy note on the flavor and earthy notes from the hops. You're using traditional noble German hops that are going to be more earthy tones and a little grassiness.
Get that.
But that's what you're going for. And you're going for clean, crisp. But you do need something like the difference between your lager and the Helles lager is going to be a little more notes of biscuit, grain. Like there's a little more meat substance to the flavor. And then hop-wise, it's a German style, the Helles style. So you are going to go back to noble hops and use noble hops, which is going to be more earthy.
What are the hops in?
Hallertau Mittelfruit.
Ooh, and the what now?
Say that again.
Hallertau Mittelfruit.
Middleford?
Mittelfruit.
Mental fruit.
Mental fruit?
Yeah.
Fruit.
Mental fruit.
F-R-E-Z.
And
This
you,
is early one.
With an umlaut.
This,
If there's an umlaut, you know it's true.
he knows how to pronounce it.
guys, this podcast is in English, so if you could try that.
Hallertau Mittelfruit.
So I don't want you to take this the wrong way, okay? But when every lager, it reminds me of an OG beer. It reminds me of growing up in Wisconsin, man, and like state fair beer.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It has that. It just has that very summer. I want a brat. I want some freaking cheese curd.
Exactly.
We know we want that.
Well, and that
You guys got cheese curds or brats? I'm
in a sense,
we got brats. You want a brat? We got one. Yeah.
And crowd, too.
And crop.
Yes, sir.
Well, let's talk about that because your menu has a lot of that influence.
Absolutely.
So where does that come from? Is that a beer to menu or menu to beer? How do you make that connection with some of that influence on your food?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I think that it's exposure that somebody's had here that's gone into the menu. So specifically, like there's the Courier's Bowl. Devin went to Germany one time and he had currywurst from a street vendor and fell in love with it. So
easy to fall in love with.
like that's where that came from, the currywurst ketchup. Otherwise, the food we try to keep really simple but really good. So that's where we go with our menu. We've gone through 2 iterations with the menu, and the first one was bloated. The second one was overblown and too fancy for our clientele. So another thing
Is he poking at us? I think he's poking
I
think he's poking at us.
No. You guys were the ones that came in and bought the cool shit. Because everybody else was like,
Touche.
what? No.
So
Yeah.
at one point in time you could choose chicken, boar, elk, and
7
lamb.
different proteins, didn't they?
So it was too much. It was too much, and beef, and then a black bean burger, and it was just. It's like I'm a huge fan of Kitchen Nightmares. I'm a geek when it comes to that. So
I watched it last night.
Yeah,
I shit you not. I watched it last night.
Yeah. I got a picture of Rams in the kitchen. Like it's just there to remind me, don't go overboard with this. So especially when you have the kind of family we do for employees.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, are you going to keep this? Because they have their favorites. I'm sorry, no. We're gonna bring it down to just a very simple, streamlined menu that is easy to use and it's something really good with beer. You know, a blue cheeseburger with mushrooms on it. Who doesn't like that? Our Berliner burger, a brat, sauerkraut, curry ketchup.
Number one good, right?
You know,
Like paired with the Hellas, that's fucking amazing.
blackened Cajun chicken sandwich. Super easy. Like, just keep it nice and simple.
I gotta go order.
The fact that you said Ramsey, I shit you not. We watched that and it's not the new ones. It's the OG from UK.
They're so much better.
Oh,
So much better.
right? 100% better. Only because he gets more involved in the he gets I don't know why we're talking about Ramsey. Hey, sponsor. Hey, but he gets so involved in the process of what it takes to be an actual restaurateur.
Yes. Yeah.
And this making you decide, what are you going to be? You're going to be a pub, or you're going to be a restaurant? You're going to be fine dining, or you're going to be more gastro. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Exactly. So, during the initial shutdown for the pandemic, I sat and watched a lot of shit. And I loved it beforehand, but I discovered the UK stuff, and there was no more of the like next time kitchen nightmares. You know, and he actually cared, and
he narrated it too.
Yeah, and I was just like, you know what? Actually, there's a lot of good points in here, and I need to take them into the brewery, and that's what we did. So we just toned it down, streamlined it. I'm not going to buy boar and elk during a pandemic to sell for a week, you know. Let's just make it really good, high quality ingredients. They go into a simpler menu. Yeah. And so it worked out.
So
now we eat burgers.
So talk about your transition then into being a brewery owner. I presume that you were a hobbyist, that you were brewing. And I don't know what exactly your history was or your relationship with Devin, your other partner. So maybe talk a little bit about how you guys met. What were you doing, and how did you then make that transition from being a hobbyist, a home brewer, into saying, "Hey, I want to try to do this for a living"? What was that transition like for you?
Yeah.
This is a story I love.
Oh, thanks, man. So we were friends from high school. So we've known each other a very long time. And I guess I'll do the maybe long, medium version. A mutual friend moved away. Me and Devin were never super close, but a friend that kind of bridged the gap moved away. So we kind of got together, and we found out we both homebrew, and we both like beer a lot. So we started homebrewing together, and it was garbage. And
about what year?
Maybe 2006 for starting that.
Okay.
And then I'm construction background, so I'd done full remodel, landscaping, bricklaying, tile setting. I was mainly a tile setter. My dad was a tile setter. So during that time, Devin was going to school for radiology to be a nurse with a radiology, and I was like, "Hey, come work with us doing tile part time." So we did.
Were you working for your old man?
No, I was working for another guy.
Okay.
Yeah. My dad had passed away at that point in time. So he came to work for me, yeah. And we just got into more and more into homebrewing. And we just do it, whenever we had a chance. And drinking a lot of homebrew, you get a lot of stupid ideas.
There might be a little bit more than homebrew. There might be more than homebrew involved.
Right.
Actually not.
Drinking a lot of commercial beer. Yeah.
Let's start a podcast.
They were drinking commercial beer while they were brewing their own.
That's true. And I have thought about starting a podcast while I'm drinking home.
There you go.
Hey, well, we know some guys who can produce it.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe.
Right.
So it was just kind of like, hey, let's start a brewery. We were both at the point in our lives where we didn't want to work for somebody else. It was just, we're done with the shit. Then the market dropped in 2008. I was out there. And he had moved on to IT. I actually had a degree, or not a degree, I went to school for IT. So he got me a job there. So at that place, we were able to sit at computers and research this shit all day long. So I would say it takes about 5 years for us to scrape together everything to start the brewery. So I was actually an ex-stepbrother-in-law with Dylan Goldsmith from Captured by Porches. And he sent me a text one day like, hey, there's brewery equipment for sale. And it was the old stuff from Salmon Creek Brewery. So we drove up to Longview and bought a copper brew kettle that was garbage. And then 3 milk tanks that they had been using to brew into. And we put them in garages. We're going to have a brewery one day. Then we scoured Craigslist and ProBrewer, which is a website for brewers. Learned everything we could. Bought kegs that were old Nick Cossey kegs from Two Town Cider House. Bought old Hazelwood Brew Pub bung kegs. Everything was bung kegs. So we started with, you guys can't see it, but we only had a dairy tank as a mash tun, a hot liquor tank, a boil kettle, and then 2 horizontals dairy tanks, one from Flattail Brewing and one we had bought, that were converted to have solid tops. And that's how we started the brewery, with us just working in the tasting room, our friends coming to work in the tasting room. And then it just kind of moved there. So that's kind of where it began. And yeah, it was about a 5-year process from the first drunken inclination of let's start a brewery to 2012 when we opened the doors. Yeah. And we definitely got it at the right time. Like we said before, one of the first new breweries in Vancouver. And we had a couple good beers, a couple real shit beers. People drank them. And we had a lot of friends working here just for tips, things like that. So we were very lucky in that aspect to be able to do that. And no income from us. Like at that point in time, it was just surviving on what the wives then made, that kind of thing. So I always say that new breweries are new people that want to start up, that are home brewers that want to start a brewery. It's like, are you sure you want to do this? Because it sucks. It sucks. It's not. You think you're going to go into it with we're just going to sit around like when we're home brewing all day long and just drink beers and have a good time. And it is like that for a little bit. And then you realize, this is a business.
Well, then you start hiring people, and you realize that there's profit margin, and there's I gotta learn how to be a businessman.
All the different layers that fall on top.
And you got to set your ego to the side too. It's like I said before, bringing Landon hounded us from 2013 on, but
we'll get into that.
Bringing in people that can do a better job than you can is, I think, the key aspect of doing something right. You can run if you're really good at running a business, you can do that. But wearing all the hats, you can do it for a little bit. You can't do it full time.
Not forever.
And that's part of the reason we brought on Big Brewer, what Jason used to work at, is because we started doing self-distribution. And, when you get a call on Saturday at 4 p.m. and you're just out in the backyard barbecuing and hanging out with your family, and You got to run a keg down because you got to make that $100.
Yeah.
You're like, no, maybe this is a separate business that needs to take into play here. And that kind of thing.
So talk about that just for a minute. I have like 8 questions, 8 shoot-offs from all of that, man. That's awesome. But since you talked about self-distribution, so talk about. I'm not even sure how to ask that question. Talk about the pros and cons as either a startup or even as you guys got going. What are the pros and cons of self-distribution versus professional distribution and signing with a distributor? Kind of talk about that thing that you went through and how you navigated that.
Okay, so I would say that it is a completely separate business that you have to run. So if you're gonna have a brewery and you want to self-distribute, you need to have at least at least 2 people and a truck and that kind of thing to run it. And I'll let Jason elaborate on it a little bit, but
because as a distributor. For folks who may not understand the supply chain, so the distributor typically will act as the middleman, right? So as a manufacturer, which is what you are, you're a manufacturer, a brewer, you have the product that you make. You have the opportunity to sell direct to the market, or sell through middleman, the distributor, who then takes it to market for you. I just want to establish sort of that is the baseline for people who may not understand the difference. So as a self-distributor, you're having to manufacture and then sell direct to market, or do you want to? And as a brewer, and we've talked a lot about this with different brewers. How do you make that choice? And you're giving up points, you're giving up profit margin to make that choice.
You would definitely.
But there's pros and cons to that.
So
I just want to set that baseline.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I would say the basics of it are, at the very base level, is if you self-distribute, you have control. If you go through a distributor, you have reach. So that's the basic
Really
right there.
well put.
Yeah,
Thanks.
it.
I dig that. No, I dig that. That's awesome.
Yeah, so, if you self-distribute, it can work out really well for you. Keep your profit margin, like you said, because it's like 30%. And you can go to your specific client, whatever it is, and say, hey, I got this new beer. Let's rotate this tap. It's really great. They're stoked. The owner's there. Or somebody direct from the brewery's there. With a distributor, you have somebody that's maybe not going to take the time that you want them to at a specific account for your beer, but instead of selling to one place, they're going to sell it to 10. So you kind of have to choose. You can make more money self-distributing if you're really good at it and you have a crew to do it. And it's a whole, like I said, a whole separate business model.
It takes off the business aspect.
And Jason has years of experience, so maybe what you say is really the difference there.
Yeah.
So maybe talk about your role here. So are you? What is your role? Are you selling to distributors now? You've got the background working for distribution. So are you now? Is your main role as a salesperson here selling to distribution? Are you selling as a self-distributor, or is there some kind of hybrid?
Yeah, it's kind of a hybrid case, I guess. So I have distributors that deliver that beer, right? But I've spent 20 years in this market, and people know me. So when I say, hey, we have this coming, people are like, yep, bring it. Sweet. I pass that info to my distributor, and then it's on my distributor to get it there, right? Sometimes that doesn't work. And a lot of times it works, but sometimes it doesn't work.
Well, especially in this market, they've got
right behind me, they've got 6 other guys coming in the door saying, "I got
having
this
someone
brand
like Jason is like having a key."
Yeah.
And that I have spent 20 years building the relationships in our markets, Portland and Vancouver, both. A little bit about me: I was in the Loowit Beverages, a Budweiser house for 10, 11 years. started Big River Distributors and picked these guys up from day one.
Which was very small.
And it was just a small distributor, me and the other guy that hit that and picked these guys up. That's where I met these guys. It was like, we're being a small little local distributor, Big River, and we have these small little brands that were handed to us from a distributor in Oregon that weren't represented here. These guys were brand new on the scene, so we went to them and said, hey, would you be interested in going to market at whatever capacity we can work together? That was the key, right, as a distributor. I wasn't a big guy, it wasn't a Coors, it wasn't a Budweiser house that was like, what can you do for me? I was the guy that came in and said, I'll do whatever you can give me. And that was a breath of fresh air for a lot of small guys. What can you do for me? We're like, what do you mean? Like, how much can you produce? I'll take 6 kegs. I'll take 6 kegs and we'll sell those and I'll give you half the money.
Where does that come from for you? Like, are you a beer? Like, was that a beer
what that,
or was that a business? Like, hey, I want to support small business. Where did that come from for you?
It's a blend of both, really. It was business, first and foremost, right? I want to make money, but I care about local. I know for a fact we can get anything we ever need to survive right here locally. I don't need to buy from Walmart. I don't need to buy from Freddy's. I can get whatever and everything I need locally, maybe pay a little bit more money, but usually not a lot. And I know where it came from. I know who produced it. I know who made it. I know who grew it. I know whatever. That's my mentality. That's what I love to do. So coming into this was like, we're hometown. What more do you need? What more do you need? And we make good beer.
And they were the only game in town back then.
Yeah, and they were one of the only games in town.
Yeah,
right?
that's huge.
Like Tom mentioned earlier, we had
Very cool.
Heathen. We had a couple of these other Portland big names that were local and brand new.
But he didn't have a shop in 2012.
No, they didn't.
No,
these guys were you were the first ones.
They didn't have a tap room.
They didn't have a tap room.
Yeah.
We were the first ones to town with a tap room and a place to come sit.
B-sides table.
And I would say, Heathen did have a spot. You can go out to their place, up there in their home.
You can go get a growler. You could go get a growler fill.
Get growlers.
You could sit and drink a beer
right
at their place
until later.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. But it was that. It was for me. It's just that. Why do I need to go to Portland? Why do I got to go over there to drink beer? We're doing good beer here. Good beer right here. Like, these guys are doing it. I'm gonna drink it. Yeah. And I would go to Portland. I would drink beer from all the people, but that's just to know what we're doing, right? So it was that. Like, these guys came about. I just happened to fall into a local distributor, and I wasn't an owner, but I was part of the gig from day one, and saw the value in what Loowit was doing, and said, "Yeah, that's something you guys should do and chase because that will be big." Just knew that. I knew the movement was happening towards what I call love local, or local love. 2 hashtags that I pushed off a long time ago. Love local and local love, hashtags. But that was this. What can we buy right here? What can keep me home and not have to go across that river or have to go to Seattle to find good beer, right? We got good beer here. We don't got to go anywhere else. So
you don't have to
I fell in love with that.
And market.
And then and I met Tom and Devin and was like,
I know.
You guys are rad. You guys are super cool. Just 2 dudes, like, you're run-of-the-mill dudes. And you're like, whoa, you guys are doing what? Sweet. I want to be part of that, And for me, it was about helping this happen, right? I got no skin in the game. This wasn't my brand. This was nothing I had in earning it. Didn't earn me nothing. But I wanted to support these guys and have since day one. Like, now.
So now he works for them.
Now, come full circle, they said, you need to come work for us.
Yeah.
I said, sweet.
Yeah, so after a while, then Big River bought my Stein in Brampton Stein. Jason worked there for a while.
Yep.
And didn't like the corporate nature of it because
I hate the Coors Miller and AB InBev model. I don't like it. Don't like it.
And you'll find that all over across the board with the small breweries. None of us really like the corporate nature of business.
Of course,
and obviously you have to do it at some point in time. As an owner, you have to embrace HR. You have to do an employee manual. You have to look at benefits for everybody. That kind of thing.
And sitting around drinking with Devin in 2006, did you guys talk about HR and employee manuals?
No.
No.
It wasn't an aspect. I think maybe every once in a while, it would have been, we should probably work on this, or we should probably work on that. But you don't get around to it, and because you're opening something, you're focused on other things. So that came later.
Sure.
There is one now, and there is. I mean, Andrea calls me an HR violation, but I'm your HR right there. I always tell everybody, if there's an issue, you can always come talk to me, or if there's an issue with me, go talk to them.
I mean, small business in general is an HR violation.
Yeah, that's true.
Small businesses.
So, Landon, where is the future of craft brewer? Where is it going? Where is it headed?
I mean, I do think that we're gonna come full circle. We're gonna circle back to.
What does that mean?
All right, so the craft beer industry blew up 2007, 2008, 2009.
Yes.
Now I graduated high school in 2009. My dad had
We are all old.
my dad had this whole thing behind him of if you're gonna drink, you're gonna brew it yourself. So go to the homebrew store.
His parents are rats.
Go to the homebrew store, buy the stuff, make it. I did not make good beer. But that brought me into the whole, all right, what do I want to do for a living? And so I started going to school, and I was like, I'm going to be a history major. That's what I want to do. And then one day I came across Oregon State has a degree in food science and fermentation. And I'm like, I do enjoy brewing beer. Maybe it's not a hobby anymore. Maybe I can make this my job.
So you were brewing beer in high school?
Yeah.
Legit?
It was not good beer. It was not good beer.
No, but you were home brewing beer.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
You don't have to pay $21 to buy ingredients.
It was one of those. My dad's like, if you're gonna drink it, you might as well brew it. And you
oh my god!
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And you can buy ingredients to make beer underage.
Yep.
And let's be honest, I did not brew very often. It was more like, hey, I'm gonna brew, and then that shit would just kind of sit around But because I was doing it, it was an okay thing, right?
Make fun of all the kids who were playing D&D, and they go back to brewing.
Yeah,
whatever. I get it.
But progressing forward, I grew up in a house where it's it was a party Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, and everyone's having fun. And so I wanted to be in the industry of I want to be a part of that. I want to make that happen. And so that's initially I started going to school for history, like I had said. And then I came across the OSU Food Science and Fermentation degree, and it was one of those I was like, this is a no-brainer for me. This is something I love to do. I can turn a hobby into something that I can do for a job. 2008, when the IPA came onto the scene, massive, right? And we're moving into this. We like I said on the sheet. The hazy thing.
Like I said.
Yeah.
There it is. Right there.
Yep, right there.
Yep.
That's where we've moved. Now, I feel like we're going to come full circle, and we're going to go back.
It's coming back now.
Because where can we go from this? It's going to come back around, and there's going to be a midpoint. I think there's going to be a midpoint between the hazy IPA and your traditional West Coast IPA of punch you in the mouth with hops.
Yep.
There's going to be a return to styles that people don't drink anymore in frequency, and it's kind of niche styles. Lagers are when I first started drinking craft beer, really it was Mac and Jack's Amber. I mean, that shit is awesome. But that's all I could, I couldn't do nothing.
Really? For me, it was Fat Tire Amber.
Sure.
The Amber style was that was my gateway.
Honey beer was my first big epiphany into craft beer. It was amazing.
Yeah,
Dude,
that was
Sam Adams.
Yeah.
Sam Adams, that cat, he went door to door knocking on people's He's doing
No,
Jason,
exactly.
He's doing what you're talking about. He went door to door.
Yep.
But he gets no respect, in my opinion. He gets no respect.
He gets no respect this side of the world because we're the other side of the world from him.
Is that all it is?
That's the only reason. He's East Coast, we're West Coast. I think that's the only reason on this side of the world he doesn't get it.
It's like rap.
But exactly.
So I would say that, like, kind of go back to your point is, and to maybe expand upon it if I could, is there's a curve in brewing, and you have to you're either ahead of the curve somehow or you're behind it. And if anybody would have foreseen, like you said, hazy's coming out, like if we were obsessed with clarity, if you got a beer that was cloudy, you would send it back.
It was nasty.
Especially with the super hazies that are out, like milkshakes, that kind of stuff. You have to either come out right at the right time to get that niche, like the hazies, like just or whatever beer it's going to be. Champagne IPAs were made for like a hot minute.
The
Brewed IPA.
That was disgusting in my opinion.
Yeah, we did one, but we were behind the curve, and it was done. It was done and over by that time. So there's a point where you're either try to ride the wave or you just become part of it. And so we are just, as a brewery, we're just trying to be part of it and not trying to be too ahead of it. I mean, if we come out with something out of the gate that's crazy, but that maybe that could start it. But I think our initial inkling for it would be this isn't going to sell. But if the market likes it, then maybe it will. It's really hard to guess.
That's trick.
Yeah,
That's
it's just and so we just keep on trying to do the best we can with what we've got, and
be true to who you guys are.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to change my business model to be something we're not.
We're not a boutique.
Yeah, and that's the thing now. I think that we are to the point where we're doing what Loowit does, like it or not. We don't really care.
Yeah.
Like it or not. This is what we're doing.
Yeah, that's about it.
You guys are the local Vancouver brewery, right? That's my opinion.
Okay.
You can agree or disagree with that.
Thank you.
So the question I want to ask, and this is the last question I have before we kind of get to the end here, is this is specifically for you, Thomas, as an owner. What does it mean to you? Again, we talk about I'd rather be lucky than good. 2012, you guys saddle up right here in downtown Vancouver. Probably not the best place to be for a variety of different reasons. I mean, you guys saddle up right here in this building, and you have watched over the last 8-9 years downtown Vancouver, the waterfront, everything build up around. What does that mean to you as a small business owner, as a Vancouver brewery? What has that been like to say, listen, we are here, we've been here, we're still here. What is that like? Because there's got to be some mixed feelings around that. What is it? What is it for you to have that as Vancouver's grown and developed around you? What's that been like for you as a business owner?
Yeah, so I would say it would start with my fear has always been to become irrelevant. So it's really like when there's like I said earlier with breweries and bands, it's kind of the same thing. When there's a new brewery that shows up in town, it's like a new band that shows up on someone's record collection or Spotify list now. But you have to try to keep yourself relevant. Whatever you can do to keep yourself relevant. You don't want to. I'm sure you guys have been to towns where there's a brewery that's been there, and you know the brewery because you've had their beers. They've been in bottles for years. It never changed. There's been nothing new about them, and they keep trudging along. I don't want to see that happen.
No, let's do that.
I want to have something new out or something that's come down the pipe that is going to keep people excited for a while.
Always pushing
Yeah.
down a little.
But one-offs are a thing for every brewery. Having a new flagship is an exciting time for us.
We have two.
Yeah, two in the pipe to keep ahead of the game. As far as like downtown Vancouver, I'm excited to see where it's going because I remember being a little kid and I did boundary reception. I lived in Orchards, and I had to ride a bus from Jason Lee to Orchards, which is and it was scary. You didn't want to be down here. Like I was 14 years old. It was a slum. And so to see Vancouver blow up the way it has and become a destination for people is great. It used to be that, and I would say this is the last 2 years, that Portland people realize that we're not an hour away.
Yeah.
Right.
Right?
No, you're right though.
You know, that we're 15 minutes away from them. So we get those people and we get the expansion of like, hey, you know what? It's kind of a cool city now. It's not full of shit.
Yeah.
So as far as that goes, I'm happy to see it. For the breweries, new breweries coming online, breweries that are here, it's a great community. If you're going to be in the brewing community, you have to work with other breweries.
Yep.
If you do not work with other breweries, you will not work with other breweries. And we all share secrets. We all share things to make our industry stronger. So that's a good thing. I do want people to know we've been here for a long time. Because so we do have people that are like, oh, you're the guys next to Smoking Oak. Yeah, we've been here 5 years before they opened.
Actually, Smoking Oak is the guys next to Loowit.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But at the same time, we're great friends with those guys.
Of course.
We call it the coolest corner in
It's the coolest corner.
100%.
There is no other corner in Vancouver.
There's no other
So
corner.
matches what we have right here.
So I would say that
Legitimately.
So I would say that it's just right now it's about what can we do to make this better? What can we do to make our brand better? What can we do to make our beers better? Make our menu better? Make everything better all the time. Never become complacent. Never stop. Never sit down and just take a breath. Like you always have to be up and running.
Awesome. Guys, for real, no joke, 100%. We're fans.
Yes.
Been a fan. Seriously. We've been coming here a long time. I've been drinking your beer a long time.
Thanks, man.
I believe that Southwest Washington is brewing the best beer in the country. I said it in part one. I'm going to say it again. I think that the North Bank is ridiculous in the beer that's happening and what you guys are doing and your approach and trying to continue to push the envelope and reinvent yourselves and make yourselves better is 100% what needs to happen. We loved this conversation. We love you guys. We love what you're doing. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having
us, man.
Yeah. We're gonna leave it there for tonight. But before we go, Ben, it's time.
Is it time already?
Already? Yeah, man, it's time.
You knew it was coming.
Ah, jeez. All right, gentlemen, it's time for the follow-up question. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
How many cards we got?
At least 3.
2 marks?
Yeah.
At least 3.
We got three.
There's 3 of those.
We got
I caught audibles.
Shut up.
Ready. All right, so I got a question. Final question for Thomas.
Yes.
Are you ready?
Yes, I am, sir.
You are a comic book superhero for DC because DC has the best comics. By the way, look it up. It's true. It's facts. A, what is your superhero name? And 2, who is your arch enemy?
I think I'm gonna have to go with Captain Sugar Bubble.
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's all right.
Do it.
Yeah.
So there's a story behind that. And
Wait. And my arch enemy is Fern Cat.
Yeah.
What?
Yes, because kind of sound like Jeff Goldblum.
Yes.
Yes.
So
Nature finds a way.
So we had a bunch of barrels lined up, and there's fucking sugar bowls coming out of the top, and he's over there cleaning all of them. And I walked by and I was like, "Hey, what's up, Captain Sugar Bubbles?"
That's it.
And firm cap is it prevents overflows from oil, so it breaks bubbles.
It increases surface tension.
So
you don't have overflow.
That's awesome.
Captain Sugar Bubble, that's right.
dig it.
Yeah.
Captain Sugar Bubbles.
And he's a good late night lover too.
Of course he is.
Yeah.
Late night lover.
Late night.
Late night.
Yeah. Easy.
All right.
All right. So I just gotta say, having been in the downtown area for a long period of time, being around Salmon Creek Brewery, in Hazel Brew Club, I feel a lot of that here when I arrive.
Yeah.
Good beer, good food. This place is awesome. Now that said, Landon. The last play of the game. It's free kick, 45 yards out.
Ooh.
Wait. Say it again.
Last play of the game. About 45 yards out on a free kick. Who's serving you, and how do you finish?
Well, I might kick the fucking field goal. Because when I played rugby, I could kick a 55-yard try.
He's a quiet rugby all of a sudden. Boom.
Bang.
He totally down.
Yeah,
That's it.
All right, Jason, you're audible, so I got one for you.
Yeah.
You shave your beard.
Oh my God.
You're going to go visit one person to surprise them. Who was that person?
Holy moly. Who is that?
That was sick. That was sick.
Damn.
Get out of here.
My head.
I'm sure
Yes.
come up with.
Oh man, that's a really good one. Because I tell you what, without this beard, I look 12. So I'm not going into a count.
I don't think it looks
Because they're
12
going to kick me
anymore,
off at the door. No, I guarantee you I do. Maybe 14. Sorry. Man, who do I go visit? It's probably my oldest daughter, who's now 20. She's not going to know who I am. I think that would be the biggest who are you situation would be my oldest daughter, 20 years old. She hasn't seen me without a beard since she has been 12.
Wow.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That'd probably be who I go see.
Thank you guys again for coming on Business Over Beer. If people want to find out more about Loowit Brewing, where would you like people to go?
www.loowitbrewing.com.
Yep.
And where is your location? Let's give them the address.
It is 507 Columbia Street, Vancouver, Washington, 98660.
Yes, sir, man. Come on downtown. We love what you guys are doing. Thank you again. And everything that we talked about tonight, including their address, their contact information, and how to get a hold of them, will be in the show notes and the blog post for this episode. Go check it out now.
Done.
Hey, Cano.
Yeah.
If people want to find business over beer, where do they go?
They go to bizsoverbeer.com. BIZ overbeer. I don't need to spell it. .com. And you've got our social media handles there. You've got our podcast, our video podcast, links to all the things, everything you need to see. And then one other thing. Something you really kind of dive into. What is that, man?
We're talking about the Patreon.
Yeah.
That's right. If you want to become a Patreon and be involved, you guys.
Yes.
Hey, you want to be part of the community. We're talking about community here.
Yep.
The Bob. We're developing a community. And one of the best things about the community that we're building is we have a happy hour. It's every first Thursday of the month.
We need to host one of these. Let's host one of these meetups.
Okay,
we'll work on that. Awesome. You guys can tell your crowd. Then we work on that.
Well, we're gonna bring. Well, here's what you would expect as hosting.
Yeah.
You expect a lot of local small business owners, entrepreneurs, and people who are passionate about what they do in the community. They're all going to come here at Loowit and say, "Hey, I love what you're doing, and we can have you guys say, hey, we're building a community too.
Yep.
And be a part of it.
Absolutely.
That's what it's all about, right?
Yep.
Jason,
Yeah.
Thomas, Landon, Knoper, Kaylor, people who are watching, I am so sorry. People who are listening, thank you so much, Patreons. We love you. We would not be here without you. And we will see you all next time.
Come on, do it! Join the Patreon now! What's wrong with you? It's okay! Get to the chopper now!
Business Over Beer reminds you to always drink responsibly. Our theme song is Idiocracy by Christian Leo. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Business Over Beer, a TH3 Entertainment production.